Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Thread. Sorry we missed you yesterday. We had some technical issues. As you see, I am not with my father in the office. He is in New York,
Right.
and I am not.
Else, you're elsewhere.
I'm in New York, just not there. So the roles are a little bit reversed.
Are you on vacation? Are you on vacation? Is that it?
Maybe. Yeah, so here we are. Sorry we couldn't get to yesterday. We had some technical difficulties. But today on the Daily Thread, we have a few stories that we're going to discuss. Donald Trump going crazy over the conservative media giving Ron DeSantis some positive airtime. The suspect in Los Angeles, the shooting was caught. And Dubai's first synagogue, which happens to be gorgeous. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Daily Thread. Okay, so Abba, how's your day going so far?
Okay, we should say that we did record an episode yesterday.
We
but
did.
you just couldn't technically figure out how to get it online. So I guess we're just
Yeah,
putting it in the can. I guess we're canning it.
we are putting it in the maybe maybe
Put on hold.
it just wasn't meant to be. What can we do?
Yeah. Okay. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good. Covered some good topics. I don't remember any of them at this point, but they were pretty
That's
good topics.
that's the thing about news. Yesterday's news is the most worthless.
They say
Am I
there's nothing
right?
as old. They say that nothing as old as yesterday's news.
It's true.
So
It's true.
so yesterday is gone. Yesterday is gone.
Yesterday
So
is
what do you want
gone.
to talk about today?
Okay, so
What do you want
Donald Trump.
to start with? What do you want to start with today? Donald Trump. Okay.
We can start with the Donald. Donald is not happy about the media, the conservative media, giving Ron DeSantis, I guess, positive airtime. He wants to be
Okay.
that guy. He wants to be that guy, and he was that guy for his presidency. But it seems like the right wing media is moving away from Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he wants the whole thing altogether. He's 76 years old. He was president for 4 years. I understand both sides of the equation for him. He was not dealt with properly by people in power, and
Yeah,
I understand his motivation for wanting to come back and take another shot at it, so to speak. But on the other hand, I think he's still a very influential and powerful person, and has a lot can make a very important and significant contribution to the political process here in the United States. But I think he
I
could
hear
do
that.
very well from the. What do you want to subject yourself to the White House and to the criticism from the Congress? Although I think he anticipates that the Republicans are going to do even better in 2024, and he'll have a nice majority in both, potentially in both the House and the Senate. So
Really?
a what you call it a Trump presidency with a majority in both houses could really change things very dramatically in a positive way in this country. I get of all the things that we write about in the paper and talk about here, I only get everything comes down to Trump. Everybody doesn't let me live down the fact that I voted for Trump. But
I
listen,
think it's fine. 1 second, that you voted for him the first time around or the second time around?
I voted for him both times. But
Right.
I was in Florida last week, as you know, and I went to a program that Ben Shapiro spoke at, and Ben Shapiro in 2016 was very against Trump, but
He
he
didn't vote for
said,
Trump. Who do you vote
but
for?
in
John
20
Kasich?
but in 2020 he voted for Trump. He said he voted for Trump in 2020 because Trump did a good
No,
job as president. He did a good job as president. He got stuck with a bad Congress with devious type of underhanded people, and then he got hit by the COVID situation, which pretty much sidelined everything and derailed the whole country for 2 years.
Yeah, and I want to say something that this, for people who aren't into politics, and it's fine. You don't have to be into politics, but I want to explain something why it is important who's serving, who's in the White House. I'll tell you something very simply. Someone was just in my house. I recently bought a home, and he
Oh,
was
Mazel
telling me
Tov.
how. Thank you. Yeah, did you know about that?
I think I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, So he was telling me how he bought a home. This person had bought a home around a year and a half ago. So I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, "Well, what interest rate did you pay?" He said, "I got
Okay.
I got 2.9." I said, "Well, I got
Yeah.
5.9." So for
Right.
all of you who are listening, that politics, I don't really care. I'll tell you why you should care. You're gonna want to buy a
Yeah.
house. You want to go to the grocery. You know the difference between 3 points on an interest rate when you're paying for a mortgage? There's things
You
that
know.
I didn't even think about. But when Donald Trump was in office, the interest rates were historically low, and
Well.
inflation what didn't exist.
Well.
So
Interest rates were low for about 10 years. In all fairness, even before Trump became president, but he made sure that he maintained it at a certain level. Let me tell you something else about Trump. You wouldn't have America wouldn't be having this trouble with Russia right now and with China right now if Trump was in office. You have the ingredients. Literally, I know you studied World War One and World War Two and history and the damage it did to the world and millions of people that died in those wars. You have right now what's going on in the Ukraine. You have the makings potentially of World War Three. Believe it or not, I don't mean to scare anybody, but you have Russia and China working together against. They're really fighting a war against the United States. It just happens to be fighting it in the Ukraine, but it's really against the United States. I saw this morning in the paper, in the Wall Street Journal, America has so far spent $113 billion on the Ukraine.
well,
To
we kind of just print money, no? Like it's meaningless. We
No, we're
just print
30.
money.
America's $31 trillion in debt. I think I read that the national budget, $750 billion of the national budget, $750 billion is just interest on our loans. And guess where most of the money is borrowed from? It's borrowed from China
Why are we borrowing money from China? Like
because China
why?
because China has a lot. China has a lot of money.
How?
Because
How
it's
does
a communist
China?
country. They produce a lot of stuff cheap, and they have a lot of cheap labor, and they charge high prices or good prices for what they produce, and they pay the people next to nothing. Here, yeah, you have guys that are working in that store across the street, mopping the floor at the end of the day, so make sure it's clean the next day, getting $20 an hour,
Even
for
more.
their shift.
Even more.
Now, I wish them luck. They should, but you don't have that in China. Anyway,
Well,
when you have China and Russia together,
yeah.
China it's the most populous country in the world, 1.4 billion people. Russia has the most nuclear weapons of any country in the world,
That's
and
great.
they're teaming up against the United States in the Ukraine. And what's going on in Ukraine? What's going on there? What are we fighting for?
I don't know. Why are we so far into this battle?
Well,
What
I have my own theory. First, they're not fighting for democracy. I don't
I
mean
know
to
your
sound like
theory. Your theory is that Ukraine knows things about the Bidens. That's your theory?
I don't think I think China knows things about the Bidens too. My theory is that there's a lot of money floating. $113 billion. Vladimir Zelensky became a very wealthy man. The Bush family became even more wealthy than they were previously.
Bush.
Just look. I mean, the
Why
Biden
Bush?
family, and I
Oh,
meant Biden. The Biden family became very wealthy from this war, and they don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up. They're making a lot of money, but let's not talk about that. But more interesting, yesterday, Tucker Carlson reported last night that he's getting access from Kevin McCarthy, the
Speaker of the
majority
House.
leader, Speaker of the House, to 44,000 hours of video about on January 6th that was taken outside the U.S. Capitol and inside the U.S. Capitol. Okay,
Well, what are we looking
His,
at? What are we looking
it,
to see there?
what you're going to see is that the Capitol Police, who are in charge of security at the Capitol, working to allow people in to create a riot.
Okay, so that's
Okay,
terrible.
because no, but they were instructed by Democratic leadership, Nancy Pelosi and Democratic leadership, to
That's a
create a riot.
conspiracy. That's a
No, no,
conspiracy
no,
theory. That's a
Nachi.
conspiracy theory. That's
Stop
Alex
it.
Jones right there. That's
Next
Alex
week,
Jones stuff.
next week you're gonna see it. Next week you're gonna see it on tape. You're gonna see them. You're gonna see them
Ah, but
ushering people into the
we've
Capitol.
We've seen the videos already of the Capitol Police not stopping them. But you
Yeah,
think
you
that
ain't
was
seen nothing.
orchestrated?
You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen
You think that
nothing
was
yet.
orchestrated by the Democrats?
Hey, listen, you want to compare me to Alex Jones? Let's go to the next subject. All right, you know what's going on in Israel today?
One second. No, I have another story, but I didn't compare you to Alex Jones. I'm just saying that's an Alex Jones theory. Like, why would
There's 44,000 hours of video from security cameras that surround the Capitol that no one has seen in 2 years. Nobody has seen them. Okay, first of all, why weren't they released? You know, if you pass if you pass the red light here on the corner, it's
I'm
on
familiar?
video, and right away you get a letter in the mail. You owe us $150. But there's dozens and dozens of security cameras surrounding perhaps the most important location in the country, which is outside the U.S. Capitol, and we can't get our hands on the videos to see what actually went on.
I hear you. No, something I want to talk about next, and I'm looking forward to seeing that footage. And listen, if your theory is correct, then I'll apologize for sure.
Okay.
Something I want to show, and I'm going to pull up on the screen for everyone to see together, is as follows: the first synagogue in Dubai, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous synagogue. Here, just watch. Ain't that something? That is a beautiful shul. Have you ever seen a shul like that?
They know how to build a shul in Dubai. You know,
first synagogue. You know what the first synagogues in the United States look like? We're talking about like they're usually basements in a house, and their first synagogue is like, oh my gosh, those are what?
I have to get there. I got to get to Dubai.
You've never been?
No, you've never been either. Believe it or not.
Well, I don't go most places.
I have to get to Dubai so that I could at least do a recording from Dubai. You know, I have to take my my AirPods with me, to be able my iPad to be able to record the Daily Thread. You know, Avi Berkowitz is getting married this week in Dubai.
I know, that's exciting.
I think so. There's a lot of dignitaries. Jason Greenblatt will be at the wedding. David Friedman's going to be there. Probably some other officials from the United States and from Israel. So, you know, it's nice to get married in Dubai. I guess he knows a lot of people there, and I guess it's in a way it's a great day. You know, that he's getting married. It's a great thing. Also, the fact that he is. I guess it's what you call a destination wedding. You know.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that.
It has
also a wedding like that in New York comes a little more of a security issue when you have so many dignitaries in one room, like Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt and David Friedman.
Well, you think it's easier to have the wedding for security reasons in Dubai than in New York in a Terrace of Rum?
Or, believe it or not, I think it might be.
Or in Marina Del Rey. I mean, they couldn't have this wedding in Marina Del Rey. I mean, you only have to drive like 2 hours to get to Marina Del Rey. You got to fly for like 13 hours to get to Dubai. But that's the allure of a destination wedding. Everyone's very excited about going. And
is he going to live there for Shana Rishona? Is he going to live in Dubai?
No, I think he'll be back in New York next week probably. I think he'll be living here. Yes. I mean, he's a friend of yours, isn't he? And then you go to.
He's not a friend of mine. We were in Camp Monk together. He was on the basketball team, and but like I don't consider myself a friend. Like we don't.
Okay.
Maybe we. No, I'm sure we've had interactions, but
I understand that's where he met Jared Kushner on a basketball court
not in Camp Monk
at a Pesach program in Arizona.
Yeah.
Jared Kushner didn't go to Camp Monk.
You know what? Maybe he did. Maybe when he was very, very young. You never know.
You think so? I don't think he comes from a monk orientation. I don't think Jared is a monkey.
So last week we discussed about there was 2 days of consecutive shootings in Los Angeles outside of a shul. We were discussing, is it a hate crime? Is it a crime? So they arrested somebody. This
Yeah.
morning, after Los Angeles police arrested a man suspected of shooting two Jews outside their synagogues. Friday afternoon, police in Los Angeles revealed the details about the alleged shooter's identity and the motivation. His name is Jamie Tran. He's 28 years old. He faces hate crimes charges and is being held in the county jail on $2 million bond. According to the charge filed by the federal prosecutors, Tran told the officers that he had chosen the location of the shooting by searching for kosher markets on Yelp and selected the victims by their headgear. He had previously sent anti-Semitic messages to former classmates in December and cited a flyer, apparently of the type routinely distributed by the white supremacist Goyim Defense League that blamed Jews for COVID-19 pandemic. That
There's something called the Goyim Defense League.
I
What it
guess.
says?
Yeah.
Is that what it says? Did you read it right?
There's apparently of the type routinely distributed by the white supremacist Goyim Defense League.
So you're telling me there's a white supremacist group called the Goyim Defense League? Do they put lights on Shabbos for people also? Or they only shoot at shuls? What else do they do? Do they turn off lights? Do they put on lights? Do they put a refrigerator on when it stops on Shabbos? I mean, they could play a productive role in society.
They could make so much money.
Their mission.
They can make so much money. Anyways, Wikipedia says the Goyim Defense League, also known as the GDL, is an anti-Semitic hate group and conspiracy theorist network of public personalities active across a number of social media websites, primarily YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. I don't even know what Gab is. The GDL emerged in 2018 and is led by Sonoma County-based California comedian John Minadeo and Sway Guevara. Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you
this
a
is news
short
to
story.
me. I never heard this.
They should broaden their mission, and they should let people know. I mean, a shooting is a serious offense. I hope this guy gets life in prison for attempted murder. And thankfully, he didn't hurt anybody bad. But it's not fun to be shot at, I'm sure. But I know a guy who, a long time ago, he was brought up secular, and he married a non-Jewish woman. Okay, and then he had a son. Okay, and he lives here in New York. And then his wife decided she wants to convert to Judaism, so she converted. She had a frum conversion, a real Orthodox conversion, and then they had another child. So he had two children with her. One was non-Jewish and one was Jewish. So everyone knew that this guy, he lived in a neighborhood upstate New York that was becoming increasingly frum, and people knew that this guy had a non-Jewish son. They can come over to the house and ask him to put a light on for them, put the air conditioning on for them on Shabbos, because he wasn't Jewish.
That's crazy.
Okay? He told me the story himself. But so one time a guy came into his house, and I wanted the air conditioning put on in the summer in his house. He wanted to suggest it to the non-Jewish son, but he came in and he asked the wrong son. The father said, no, not that son. The other son's not here. We can't put your air conditioning on the Shabbos.
Goodness.
So that's where the Goyim Defense League.
Are you sure that's not an episode of Seinfeld and that's actually a real story?
No, that's a real story. I could even tell you the names of the people involved, but I'm not going to do it here on the podcast because they're listening to this all over the world.
The Goyim Defense League. The Goyim Defense League is, I think it says here that it's sort of a play on the JDL.
Obviously,
right,
obviously,
and the ADL. So I don't even know. That is so crazy that there's an actual GDL, which is a Goyim Defense League. And listen. Anyways,
can
I ask a question? Why would somebody like take this guy Jamie Tran, who obviously isn't well? He must not be a well person. So you get arrested for committing a crime. You know what? He shot two people. He didn't hurt anybody too badly. His jail time probably wouldn't be so terrible, but he decided to say that he shot them because they're Jewish. So now it's classified as a hate crime. And now you're probably gonna be in jail for the rest of your life. So like, what's the thought process? You know, like you could have just said like, oh, I was doing shooting practice, and I don't know, but you literally just said like I wanted to shoot Jews.
Yeah, you're dealing with someone that's deranged from the get go to begin with.
Yeah,
So you're not dealing with when you say thought process, you're way off base. There's no,
yeah,
you
I
know,
guess so.
when it goes to someone that shoots people coming out of a shul in Los Angeles, or a guy that explodes a bomb in Israel or on a bus. You're not talking about rational people that have the ability to think things out clearly. Okay, there's no clarity involved in that kind of thing. I don't think so. Yeah, that's you got to put that aside, and they have to be taken off the street. Not so much as punishment for what they did; they should be punished for what they did. They have to be taken off the street primarily because they are a danger to society. That's why you got to take like this and put them away. I don't know how old is he? He's 26 years old. You put him in
28.
jail. You don't got to put him in jail for life. You got to put him in jail for 25 years. So when he's
But
53 years old, he comes out and he'll have a different. They'll probably come out with 2 college degrees, a master's degree, maybe even a PhD, and he'll be excellent at tennis and golf. And then you can let him out and can
he'll
become
probably also be Muslim. A lot of people convert to Islam in prison somehow.
well.
Anyways,
Then he can become
what's
a quiet member of society.
yeah, what's very interesting about this GDL thing is like for the FBI, for federal officials, if there's ever like the biggest red flag, like if somebody's a follower of the GDL, arrest them.
Yeah.
Like
Are you
those
gonna
people,
Are you gonna name this episode GDL?
it's gonna have to be named like the Goyim Defense League. That's in, like it sounds like it could be either a basketball league or it could be an anti-Semitic like neo-Nazi group, and I think it's the neo-Nazi one. So I mean that's terrible. Um, I don't know what to tell you. That's just terrible that exists, but it's like laughable that their name is Goyim Defense League.
Yeah, it is pretty. It is. If it wasn't so serious, it would be. You're right. It would be comical if it wasn't so potentially dangerous for us, for our people specifically. Anyway, Joe Biden's in Poland today. He was in Warsaw.
Nice, good for
You
him.
know, yesterday he was in Kiev. You know that he was in Kiev yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance with moving and all to watch the news, but he left Sunday night from Washington. He flew to Warsaw, to Poland. Then he took a train. You hear this? It's dangerous to fly over Ukraine because the Russians could shoot you down. So he took a train from Warsaw into Kiev. He went on an 8-hour train ride.
Joe Biden went on
Okay,
an 8-hour train ride.
can you imagine that? Now, there must have been only United States officials and security people on the train. It
I'm
was an
sure it
eight
wasn't
car train.
a. I'm sure it
It
wasn't a
was an
freight
eight.
train.
It was an 8 car train. It was an 8 car train. But still, you got to travel for 8 hours by
But what is
train.
that? What is that called? It's not called Air Force One. Is it called Train Force One? Like I've never heard of a president traveling by train like that.
Well, this was a unique circumstance, but he wanted to see how his $113 billion is being spent.
And I had heard, listen, it's a good, you know what? Any good investor definitely wants to go check in on their investments, and that maybe that's what he's doing in Ukraine. But I think that the U.S. had told Russia, they told Putin that Biden is
Right,
traveling via train. So
right,
that brings us back to our other sort of, I don't want to say it's conspiracy theory, but it's a
yeah.
theory that Russia might be responsible for the train derailments in East Palestine, in Michigan. So like maybe they told Russia like no monkey business. The president is traveling via train. Don't try anything.
Well, I don't know where the monkeys get involved in this, but first of all, it's interesting. It's a conversation on its own why the news media calls it East Palestine, even though it's spelled Palestine and the world pronounces Palestine, Palestine. In this particular Ohio city, they're calling it East Palestine for some reason.
Well,
And
maybe the
I saw,
question is why it's even pronounced Palestine, because in Hebrew it's Philistine, right?
there's 1,000. I saw in the Times over the weekend. Online, of course, I don't subscribe to the Times, but there's 1,000 cities in the United States that have biblical names. You have Jericho, you have Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, you have Jericho right here on Long Island. You
Yeah.
have Pennsylvania, Ohio has Hebron, Ohio. Now they have East Palestine. So they have like very religious, very biblical type of origins, biblical type roots. But I saw on the news the other day, yesterday, people are lined up in East Palestine because the FEMA is giving out $1,000 checks, $1,000 per person. but they can't give
Really?
out more than that. So you figure $113 billion went to
Kiev.
Ukraine, to
Yeah.
Kiev, to Ukraine, for those people, so they could live comfortably and they can find shelter and they can deal with the situation that they're in, plus of thousands and thousands of pieces of military equipment. But they have to, ration the money to the people that live in Ohio who are probably breathing in air that's going to make them and their children sick.
We spoke about it briefly last week, but you understand that people came back into their homes after this train derailment with chemical toxins, and they literally went outside, and their chickens were dead, their dogs were dead, their animals were dead, and they're breathing in this air. It's like it's honestly going to be the biggest mystery of 2023 of what happened with this story. And of course, here in the Daily Thread, we'll continue to discuss it. By the way, you mentioned like you weren't sure if I watched the news. I don't watch the news, Abba.
You are the news.
Ooh. We
What
are
do you
the
mean?
real news media.
What are you trying to tell me? You don't never watch news? You read news?
I don't turn on Fox News. I don't turn on CNN because it's like you're not getting like
I know that.
I like the Daily Wire. I like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. But like like there's the mainstream media, and I'm not saying the mainstream media the way Trump says mainstream media, like oh MSM. I just don't think they're reporting things from a unbiased perspective. And to be honest, I want the news straight. I don't want it watered down in any way.
Yeah, okay. It depends. It depends where you are, who you. Not only depends what you're watching, it depends who you're watching.
That's
You get
true.
it. You get it pretty straight by some people on Fox News. Not everybody, uh, but you get it pretty straight from Tucker Carlson, even though there's some problems with him also. But you get it pretty
I
straight,
just
so it's pretty
I don't
good.
watch the news. Yeah, I don't watch the news. We are the news. That's the Daily Thread. Our producer sent me this story right now, which is a tragedy out of Baltimore. A young Bucker was struck and killed by a vehicle on Monday night uh,
Mm.
on Reisterstown Road. Emergency personnel was called to the scene on 1800 block of Reisterstown after 22-year-old Chaim Moshe Cohn, Alav Shalom, was struck from behind by 2017 Dodge Charger as he rode a bike northbound along the roadway. The stories of Yeshiva World. Despite valiant efforts, paramedics were forced to declare Chaim deceased at the scene. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene, and the Baltimore police are investigating this tragedy. Chaim Moshe Cohn was the son of David and Laya Cohn, brother of Rifki, Joseph, Mordechai Cohn, Goldie Cohn, and Aviva Cohn. The Levi details will be published shortly. This happened again last night, and this is a terrible, terrible story.
Terrible tragedy for the family. I know where Reisterstown Road is. It's a big thoroughfare in the heart of the Frum area of Baltimore. So our condolences to the family, and they should be comforted in their loss eventually.
I mean, well, that is our episode for today. The Daily Thread, February 21st, Tuesday. Thank you for
Right.
joining us. If you have any feedback at all, just make sure to send us an email at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. To be honest, I'm going to go ahead and read one email that we got because we always appreciate when people send us emails. And I'm not going to say this person's name because I know they included the name, but I'm not sure if I have permission to say the name. So I'm going to make up a name. How about that? I'll make it up.
All right, go
One
ahead.
second, just loading on my computer. Give me a sec. Okay, so
Go ahead.
the email reads as follows: a beautiful email from, let's say the girl's name is Leah. Hi, my name is Leah, and I am from Eretz Yisrael. I'm writing this email because I wanted to say thank you for your broadcast. It saved my life. Here in Israel, we have a lot of challenges, and for me, I was in a place right now in my life that I wanted to run, leave my family, my work, my friends, my country, my everything. Then I found your broadcast, Meaningful People, and the Daily Thread. It made me happy to see your empathy to Israel in general, Shidduchim, Hashkafa, and more. So I just want to thank you. Keep continuing with the good work. We listen to you here, so don't stop. And by the way, sorry for my English mistakes. It's not my first language. Have a good week. And she signed her name and that she's from Bnei Brak. So Daily Thread listeners in Bnei Brak, what do you think about that? Ain't that something?
I think, listen, the social media, the wonderful thing about social media is that it reaches all over the world, you know?
It's true.
When I mean, I was brought up at when media communications was very primitive. But when I'm in Florida, for example, I want to listen to WABC radio. I just put it on my phone. and I could listen to WABC. You used to have to find the local stations and play
It's
the
really
news that you
no,
want, the music
it's
that you want. I do the same thing in Israel. In Israel, I can listen to WABC if I want to listen to Mark Levin, or I want to listen to Sid Rosenberg in the morning. I just put it on.
Listen, it's
And
amazing that we're able to, speak to a few thousand people a day on this platform. I think it's awesome every single day that thousands of people are tuning into the Daily Thread. So we really want to thank them. And of course, we will be back at you tomorrow, Mr. Shem, with another episode of Daily Thread.
Okay,
Hit the link in the
great.
description to subscribe to our WhatsApp status, and we look forward to hearing more from you. Have a great day, everybody.